You've come here to discover a new desire to which you can move toward, because that is satisfying. You've come here to discover desires that you can move toward so that you can feel the satisfaction. In other words, joyous expansion. That's what you're about. We say there's a triad of intentions: freedom and growth and joy. And humans say, we hear you, Abraham, growth, 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 growth. We say, yeah, freedom and growth and joy. Yeah, we hear you, growth, 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 growth. Freedom, you're so free you can choose bondage. Growth is inevitable. But if you're reaching for joy or that satisfaction factor, now you've got it all together, you see. This is where your focus is. And everything that you've lived, your inner being has become, and your inner being is standing there vivid, the totality of who you are. The furthest, most representation of the evolution of that which is you is your inner being. And the question is, where are you in relationship to that? And not just conceptually, and not just generally, now. In other words, your inner being is right with you in every moment, not abstract, right with you in every moment, focused upon whatever it is you are focused upon. And your inner being has a presence and a knowing and an attitude and an opinion about it, and is offering it to you. And where are you in relationship to that? In other words, if you're loving, oh, you're right there. If you're defending, if you're justifying. So here's how it works. You're going to like this. Contrast causes you to know what you don't want and know what you do want. Well, at first, what you do want is weird, because you know what you don't want more. So this is your natural proclivity. But now you've been listening to us, and you're wanting to think about what you want and why you want it. And so you line up with it, and now you're a vibrational match, and then boom, that manifestation happens. Not only does the manifestation happen, but now you have a whole new set of contrasting experiences. So you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, you launch your rocket of desire, but you focused over here rather than over here. But you want to feel better, so you focus over here, you get feeling better, you achieve vibrational alignment. Boom, the new manifestation happens, and a whole new set of contrasting experiences. And on it goes eternally, which means there is always going to be a gap between what you've launched and what your inner being got hold of, and you're catching up with it. But hear this, it's the catching up that's fun. What we were accusing you all of, you want to go right from the vibration, bam, to the full manifestation. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want the exhilaration of getting to witness your own expansion as it comes into place, as it comes out to play with you, first in thoughts and then words and then deeds and then manifestations. That's what you want. But you know what? When you're moving toward what you want, you don't need to be patient, you are. We don't want you to be patient. Patient is enduring, moving in the wrong direction and putting up with it. We don't want that. If you feel impatient, you're not satisfied. Choose satisfaction over impatience by finding some way of explaining to yourself that it's unfolding and that it's fine. What you're demonstrating here, and it's real, what you're feeling is this belief that you have that you're here to get it right. And we say you're here to just continue to be. You're here to joyfully evolve. And you can't even begin to get it right till you get it a little wrong. You don't even know what right is if there isn't wrong. You didn't know what light is if there isn't dark. You don't know what sweet is if there isn't sour. You don't know what enough is if there wasn't not enough. It's all part of it. What is has got to be enough, because it's all you've got access to in any given moment. If there wasn't some place to go, you would be so bored. It's life causing you to want something, and then you finding a way to get moving in the direction of it, and then feeling that satisfaction. And yes, on some subjects, you are magic. On some subjects, you line up so easily, the thoughts flow easily, things unfold for you, and you want that on all subjects. We understand that. But just remind yourself of the laws of the universe, and compliment yourself as often as you can about how well you're doing, and acknowledge how many things are going the way that you want them to go. We began this discussion by talking about step 5, really. Step 1 is you ask. And contrast is necessary to do that. Step 2 is source answers and puts it in the vortex, and it's a done deal even though you can't see it. And step 3 is you get into the receptive mode, mostly by meditating. There are other ways, but mostly appreciation is another way, but meditation is a surer way. And then step 4 is you get really good at that. Step 4 is mastery of step 3. Funny that we would name a whole step just for doing the step before it well. But you're just so good at it. Sometimes you just reach for a better feeling thought. Sometimes you meditate. Sometimes you do a focus wheel. Sometimes you call somebody who's always happy and you just talk to them for a minute. Sometimes you go get a massage or you take a swim. In other words, anything that you can do to make yourself feel better. That's mastery. That's that mastery that we're talking about. Just want so much to feel good as much as you can and have so many tricks up your sleeve to do it that you just nearly every single time can get there if you want to. That's step 4. That's mastery of step 3. And step 5 is being back in a contrasting moment and loving it, because you know the value of the contrast. Oh, good. One day Esther was dusting an etagere full of collectibles. Jerry and Esther had collected them for years. Precious things, Yadros and Sabino glass and some Dom and all the special things that both of them had enjoyed as they gathered up along their physical trail, and they were all on this etagere. And Esther went to dust it, and it had little pegs that glass was sitting on. And Esther didn't realize that every time she dusted it, it was moving a little more off its peg. And so this one day she just reached her hand up and laid her dust cloth on it, and that was the last bit of holding that it had. And this very heavy top glass slipped off its peg and crashed to the next, which crashed to the next, which crashed to the next. And Esther standing in her bare feet, and Jerry heard the crash from the other room, and he said, "Don't move," because he imagined she was standing in shards of glass stuck in the wooden floor all around Esther. And Jerry walked into the room, and Esther was standing there in shock and horror. And Jerry said, "Oh, good, more things to want." Oh, good, more things to want. Their collectible shelf had been all collectibled out. They were having a hard time finding a place to put a collectible. Oh, good, more things to want, more things to focus upon, more things for the universe to bring to us, more things for us to enjoy the journey toward, more things to enjoy the journey toward, not more things already manifested. I'm a sculptor, and I've created this magnificent sculpture. Do you like it? It's the only thing I'm ever going to make. It's that good. Oh, are you going to make anything else? No, that's it for me. That's it for me. Worked on it for quite a while. It was exciting in the beginning. There it is. Anything coming next? No, it's just this. I believe in life purpose, and when someone's found their life purpose, I think they should just do it. And I did it, and there it is. Of course, we're being silly, but that's the way so many people behave. It's like they don't realize that if there's not constantly something more that you've launched a rocket of, then there's not more energy calling you. And if there's not more energy calling you, then there's no life flowing through you. And if energy is calling you and life's flowing through you and you're going, it's great. But if life's flowing through you and you're not going, then it doesn't feel good. And you can't shut it down, because the contrast will make certain that life is always flowing through you. The contrast of this magnificent perfection of creation that you're all a part will make certain that there's constant new energy flowing through you. So you don't have a choice about that. You can't stop wanting. You can't. Life's going to make sure that you continue to want, but you do have the option of going with it or not, which means feeling satisfied or not. It's simpler than you thought, isn't it? See, the key to smooth moving through life is to make sure you've lined up with it, and make sure that the action that you're inspired to is coming from the receiving mode of who you really are, rather than from the resistance receiving mode of who you don't want to be. Does that make sense? And you do that by reaching for the most satisfying thoughts that you can find. You're really going to like this, and it will be easy for you to understand this, because often the question is, because it sounds to a lot of you that what we are trying to say to you is, when a relationship causes you to want something different than what you've got, then you launch the rocket, and then you line up with that, and then you're so much in the receiving mode that you don't have to take any action. You just get so good at allowing that they can continue to be however they are, and you're just not bothered by it anymore. It's not what evolution or expansion is about. So let's consider some things. Esther was contemplating some things recently, and an analogy came to her mind that actually moved her to create a sort of visual for herself. So let's say that you have an experience with someone. Let's say it's a subject of meditation, and you found that you're meditating, you're finding satisfaction from it, it feels good to you. Your day always goes better when you meditate. You find more clarity. And so this is just something that you really like to do. You look forward to it and you do it. And you have a friend that you're talking to about that, and that friend just isn't there and is actually annoyed with the conversation. So we're not saying good and bad. We're saying you have this perspective about this subject. And let's say your friend has this perspective about this subject. So you're not clicking on this subject. But let's say that this friend also has children. And when you talk about your children, both of you have similar ideas about what it's like to be a mother and what it's like to have children and how it feels like to have children. So on this subject, you just click really, really well. And then let's say you have a friend who financially can afford to do the same things that you do, and so you like this kind of restaurant and your friend likes that kind of restaurant, and so you really click. But let's say you have a friend who can't afford to go to this restaurant and you want to go to this restaurant, but your friend doesn't want to go to that restaurant, and when your friend goes to that restaurant, your friend doesn't like being at that restaurant, and when you go to the restaurant your friend likes, you don't like being at that restaurant. Stay with us a little bit, because you're living this all day every day. There's not a compatibility. So what most humans do is, no matter how prosperous you become or clear-minded you become, you still have this craving to get along with others. And so you keep trying to adjust your perspective so that you can have compatibility with them. And it works to a certain extent. But after a while, there's a tension, because your friend can feel the tension and you can feel the tension. Stay with us, you're going to like this. For a while, it sounded to you all that what we were saying to you is, if you hold with clarity what you want, then others will join you in that clarity. If you see this person as a really nice, wonderful, wonderful person, then no matter what, this person will become a really nice, wonderful, wonderful person. Maybe, maybe not. So it isn't becoming vibrationally same with the other people that you're reaching for. It's that through life, you've launched these rockets of desire, and your inner being has all of this vibrational knowing. And it's you wanting to come into vibrational alignment with your inner being. It's not you trying to merge or become a vibrational peer or an economic peer with other people. It's you wanting to find that alignment with your own inner being. Do you see what we're talking about? That's where the satisfaction comes from, and everything else will take care of itself. Did we reach anyone in this room? Because relationships are really interesting. You want to be heard, you want to be understood, and so you're trying to say things in a way that others will understand them, but they can't understand because they've lived different lives, they have different beliefs, they have different desires. And so many people work so hard all day to try to get this matched up with this one and this one and this one and this one, and most of your discord in relationships is because this one can't hear you or you can't hear them. And so what we want you to understand is, once you reach for satisfaction with your own inner being and find it, which you will, then all other relationships just fall into a natural place of being where they are.